My boyfriend left me on the highway because I wouldn't buy his brother a house. We were driving to meet his parents for Memorial Day weekend to discuss our wedding plans. Then Jake dropped a bomb that changed everything. His brother had just started college, and we'd agreed I'd give him a nice Omega watch as a gift, about $10,000. But halfway through the drive, Jake suddenly announced, "Forget the watch. You should buy Tyler a condo downtown instead. Someone needs to take care of Mom when we're married, and it'll have to be him." Chapter 1. Even with the housing market cooling, a downtown condo would cost at least $1 million. I protested. "I already bought the watch, Jake. And why is your brother's housing situation my responsibility?" Jake's face darkened immediately. "Rachel Morrison, I never realized you were this selfish. Think about it, once I marry you, I won't be able to help my family as much. Tyler will have to shoulder more responsibility. Don't you think you owe him a place to live? Plenty of hardworking 30-year-olds don't own property yet." Jake's brother Tyler was just a 19-year-old freshman. I was 8 weeks pregnant. Though Jake didn't know yet. We'd been together 5 years, and I'd planned to surprise him with the news when we announced our engagement to his family. Seeing his anger, I tried to compromise. "Jake, Tyler's still in school. If you're worried about him, I'll throw in the latest iPhone too, okay?" Jake's response was harsh. "No. You will buy my brother a condo." He drove one-handed, grabbing my wrist with the other. His voice softened slightly. "Rach, buying a downtown condo is nothing for your family." Something about his words felt calculating. Jake and I met in college. We started dating junior year, and last week when I found out I was pregnant, I suggested we visit his family over Memorial Day to make things official. He'd agreed immediately. I'd spent the week carefully selecting gifts. Jake had emphasized how tough his family had it growing up, so I wanted to make a good impression on my future mother-in-law and brother-in-law. I'd bought premium skincare sets, the Omega watch, and prepared a $30,000 check as a gift. I thought I'd covered everything. Then this happened. My parents had emptied their savings to help me buy a 3-bedroom downtown condo for $1.3 million as a wedding gift. $1 million isn't pocket change, Jake. Where would I get that kind of money? Jake smiled ingratiatingly. "Rach, your dad has that rental property downtown, right? It's worth at least $800,000. Perfect for a trade." That was my parents' retirement plan. Anger flared. "A trade? Why don't you sell your parents' house then? And again, your brother's housing is not my problem." Jake's smile froze. He clearly hadn't expected my repeated refusal. His tone turned accusatory. "You claim to love me, say you can't wait to marry me, but you won't even spend a measly $1 million on my brother. Rachel, your love is cheap." I nearly miscarried from rage. A measly $1 million? That's more than most people make in a lifetime. Jake seemed determined to punish me. Knowing I get carsick, he kept weaving through traffic and lit a cigarette, filling the car with smoke. I coughed. "Pull over at the next rest stop." We didn't speak for the rest of the drive. The moment we stopped, I stumbled out, taking deep gulps of fresh air. Jake rolled down his window. "Rachel Morrison, you're really not buying my brother a condo?" My anger reignited. "Jake Mitchell, are you insane?" Jake rolled up the window. I tried to open my door to continue arguing, but it was locked. Next second, Jake sneered and hit the gas. Chapter 2. The momentum threw me to the ground. Protecting my stomach, I caught myself with my hands. Pain shot through my wrist. And my palms were bleeding. A kind stranger helped me up. I stood there under the gray sky, completely lost. My phone was still charging in his car. I had no cash. Wind cut through my thin shirt. Without my jacket, I shivered uncontrollably. At that moment, stranded at an unfamiliar rest stop, helplessness overwhelmed me. Jake had done this on purpose. When I refused to buy Tyler a condo, he decided to teach me a lesson. He hadn't considered what might happen to me. Like a crazy person, I went around borrowing phones. Finally, someone took pity on me. I immediately called Jake. "Jake, come back. I'm cold." "Oh, Rachel? About my brother's condo, yes or no?" His voice dripped with threat. My heart felt like it had been stabbed. During our relationship, Jake insisted I memorize his number for emergencies. Now I'd called, and this was his response. Jake mocked, "Seems you haven't learned your lesson." He hung up. I frantically redialed dozens of times, getting only, "The number you've dialed is currently unavailable." He'd blocked this number too. Looking back, whenever I didn't give Jake what he wanted, he'd use this tactic, blocking me, disappearing for days. Then he'd suddenly reappear, claiming he'd been too upset, asking me not to be mad, before making new demands. So pathetic. I asked the kind woman, "Can I use your phone to call 911? 20 minutes later, the police arrived. Chapter 3. Wrapped in a stranger's jacket, I explained to the officer. Someone stole my car. The car Jake drove was registered in my name. My parents bought it so I wouldn't have to take the subway. Later, Jake claimed his promotion to manager meant he needed a car to match his colleagues, and begged to use mine. The audacity, taking my car and abandoning me on the highway. Using my license plate and toll records, the officer traced Jake's phone. When they called, Jake denied stealing anything. He claimed I was his fiancée who'd thrown a tantrum about his poor family, and that he'd left me at the rest stop for safety. He even said he'd already called my parents to pick me up. His lies were seamless. The officer looked at me uncertainly. I insisted on filing a report and Asked for a ride home. At 1 a.m., I knocked on my parents' door. Mom answered, shocked. Weren't you going to Jake's to discuss the wedding? Why are you back? She quickly noticed my injured hands. Honey, what happened? The tears I'd held back flooded out. I sobbed in her arms. Mom kept asking what was wrong. Through tears, I said, Mom, I don't want to marry him anymore. Chapter 4. The next day, Mom came with me to get a new phone and number. She cooked all my favorites, trying to cheer me up. I just picked up some sweet and sour ribs when my phone rang. Jake video calling on my new number. The moment I answered, he frowned. Where are you? My mom's been waiting since yesterday. Rachel, do you even want to get married? I almost laughed from anger. He abandons me on the highway, ignores my desperate calls, then immediately calls my new number demanding answers. Jake treated me like a dog come when called, dismissed when not needed. Before I could respond, he continued coldly. I don't care where you are. Get to my house within an hour. Mom has important things to discuss. And my mom says Tyler's condo is non-negotiable. 4 bedrooms minimum. It was at least a 2-hour drive to his place. He still hadn't given up on the condo. The nerve. Through the video, I saw Jake's mother Linda Mitchell, his brother Tyler, and an unfamiliar woman, all helping themselves to my carefully chosen gifts. The imported chocolates, wine, and skincare sets. My chest tightened with rage. Jake Mitchell, the wedding isn't settled. Don't act like you own me. Better return my car and phone immediately, or else. Click. He hung up. But I'd heard a woman's voice sweetly calling, Jake, honey. For 3 days, Jake didn't call. I kept following up on the stolen vehicle report. On the last day of the holiday weekend, Jake was arrested the moment he drove back. At the station, Jake was in handcuffs, explaining to the officers. This is my fiancé's car. I just drove it home for the holiday. That's not illegal, right? Seeing me, he frowned. Officer, I drove her car. If anyone's a thief, it's her. Watching him desperately shift blame, my disappointment deepened. All my pent-up anger exploded. I slapped him hard. I'm the one who reported it stolen. Jake held his face, glaring at me with rage. Rachel Morrison, are you fucking insane? Making a scene over nothing during a holiday weekend. Seeing his twisted expression, treating me like an enemy, I finally understood Mom's warning, people change. I'd known Jake came from modest means when we dated in college, so I often helped with his meal plan. But he loved me then. He'd bring me hot chocolate and heating pads during my period. He'd get beaten up defending me from creeps. I was touched when he read that love letter in front of the whole school. So supporting him financially felt natural. I'd even wanted to marry him right after graduation. Mom stopped me. Hormones fade, Rachel. Keep your eyes open. So I waited 3 more years. Finally seeing Jake's true colors painful, but not too late. I met his resentful glare directly. Jake, when you abandoned me on that highway, we were done. You stole my car and refused to return it when asked. I told the officer, process this according to the law. Because I insisted, Jake was detained for 10 days. Chapter 5. Days later, I'd just gotten home from work when I saw a taxi at my building. Jake emerged with bags, followed by his mother, brother, and that woman from the video. This was Linda's first time visiting the city. She carried a bag of overripe fruit, immediately complaining, Rachel, you city girls are so dramatic. Not only did you skip the wedding discussion, making us wait, but you actually had Jake arrested. In the 10 days since Jake's arrest, I didn't know how he'd gotten out early. Or why they had the nerve to show up. Jake glared at me. Bitch is so high maintenance. Mom's back hurts from the drive, and you won't even open the door. Seeing I wasn't moving, Jake rolled his eyes and entered my door code, hauling the sketchy bags inside. I'd been so distracted I'd forgotten to change the locks. I followed them in. Linda and Tyler had already made themselves at home, kicking off their shoes to reveal dirty feet, sprawling on my couch. The stranger surveyed my apartment, beaming. So I'll be living here? Linda commanded like a matriarch. Rachel, put away our luggage. You're marrying Jake, soon learn to serve your mother-in-law, or you're not entering the Mitchell family. Now I knew where Jake got his entitlement. Tyler, still gaming on his phone, added without looking up, sister-in-law, don't be difficult. Listen to Mom, or Jake will marry Serena instead. Serena the stranger? Tyler's phone caught my eye. I suddenly realized. That was my phone. At the station, I demanded Jake return it. He claimed I'd lost it myself. But he'd given my new iPhone to Tyler. I snatched it from Tyler's hands. He jumped up. Bitch, what are you doing? This is my phone. He glared. Jake gave it to me, so it's mine. Linda shoved me. Give Tyler his phone back. At the station, I'd been clear Jake and I were over. Why are you even here? We're not having a wedding. I looked at their gifts with disgust. Moldy tangerines and pickled vegetables that reeked. When I'd planned to visit Jake's family, I'd prepared $50,000 in gifts and cash. Linda touched her 8-month pregnant belly smugly. Doctor says it's a boy, so Tyler gets your jewelry too. Jake, who'd been whispering with Serena, suddenly rushed over and slapped me. How dare you speak to my mother that way? Were you raised by wolves? You're marrying into our family, control your attitude. I wanted to hit back, but I had to stay calm. They had 4 people. I was alone. I pulled out my phone, texting my mom. Then confirmed, Jake, I'm not buying Tyler a condo. Linda screeched, what's wrong with buying Tyler a place? When Jake went to college, little Tyler climbed trees for bird eggs just to give Jake protein. Jake's success is thanks to Tyler's sacrifice. If you want to marry Jake, you must buy Tyler a condo. What twisted logic? I shot back, Tyler sacrificed for Jake, not me. Why should I pay? If Tyler needs a condo, Jake can figure it out. How had this family become so hideous? I wasn't spending another penny on these leeches. Serena chimed in, Rachel, how can you be like this? When you marry Jake, you'll obey him. Everything you have becomes his. Good God. What medieval mindset was this? If not for my safety, I'd physically throw all four out. So you're Serena. I saw you in Jake's video call. You seemed very close with him. Just fishing, but Jake's face flashed with panic. Linda suddenly slammed the table. Looking at me viciously, once you marry into our family, if you dare speak to my son like that again, we'll divorce you. Honestly, I still couldn't understand their confidence. Why were they so sure I'd marry Jake? I couldn't help laughing. Seeing my amusement, Linda gritted her teeth. Then my parents walked in using their key. Linda's face lit up. In-laws. Finally. Let me be frank, if my son doesn't marry your daughter, she'll never find another husband. What? Chapter 6. Mom gasped at Linda's words. She looked at me with disappointment, thinking I still wanted Jake. I admitted I'd been lovesick before. But I was awake now. I didn't need Jake Mitchell. I raised my voice mockingly, why can't I find someone else? Is Jake the only man on earth? Linda pulled out a crumpled paper from her pocket. You didn't know? Your daughter's pregnant. With my son's baby. Linda sat back smugly after this announcement, arms crossed. I burned with rage. They'd searched my luggage. The crumpled paper was my prenatal exam results. I'd carefully hidden it in a pants pocket in my suitcase. They'd thoroughly ransacked my belongings. I'd meant it as a surprise. Now it showed me why this family was so confident, and how ugly the man I'd loved truly was. Smelling victory, Linda crossed her legs. In-laws, I want $2 million in dowry. Not a penny less. Otherwise, who'll want your daughter carrying someone else's baby? Mom looked at Linda with disgust but said nothing. Dad's face was dark. Mom stopped him from speaking several times. Finally, Mom laughed lightly. Whether my daughter can marry isn't your concern. As for the baby, we can terminate any time. Jake and Linda shouted in unison, you wouldn't dare. Linda pointed at my face. So young and already so vicious, plotting to murder my grandchild. Were these people insane? Now that my parents were here, I didn't need to pretend anymore. The baby in my belly has nothing to do with you. I'll abort if I want, keep it if I want. Even if I keep it, the baby would have my last name. Nothing to do with the Mitchells. You. Linda looked like she'd heard blasphemy. She panted with rage. Jake rushed at me. Before he could strike, I jumped up and slapped him first, then signaled my father. I wanted these parasites out of my home. 3 minutes later, we'd thrown all four out. Wearing gloves, I tossed their luggage, rotten fruit, and stinking pickles after them. Serena wailed first, this is Jake's place. You can't kick us out. I rolled my eyes dramatically. Get help for your delusions. Then slammed the door and changed the code. Chapter 7. After ejecting the delusional family, I told my parents about the pregnancy. But I'd already scheduled the termination for tomorrow. My parents had always disliked Jake. Seeing their outrageous behavior and attempted blackmail, they were furious. They immediately started arranging blind dates for me. I rolled my eyes. I was done with love for now. After the procedure, I needed rest. I took a week off. Back at work, my work friend Ashley immediately sidled up with gossip. Girl, I had no idea you were such a player. Her exclamation left me frozen, wondering what had happened. Since Jake often picked me up from work, many colleagues knew I'd planned to meet his family over Memorial Day to discuss marriage. The wedding fell through, and we broke up. That wasn't exactly shocking news. While I stood confused, Ashley showed me the company group chat on her phone. Though honestly, this is pretty messed up. Look, he's exposed you to the whole company. My heart sank looking at the document. Ashley sent it to me, and I opened it immediately. Scanning through, I realized Jake had been spreading lies about me at my workplace. The document claimed I'd been cheating, extorted over $100,000 from his family. Using our engagement, lived in a condo he bought, and demanded $2 million in dowry while threatening them with the baby. Truth mixed with lies made it almost believable. His goal was clearly to get me fired from my well-paying job. By now, colleagues had been gossiping about me all week. I'd been on leave and hadn't checked company messages. It was too late to clear my name. They'd already dissected my story over coffee breaks. After reading the document several more times, I shrugged and went straight to HR to resign. If Jake wanted to play dirty after our breakup, he'd learn what petty really meant. As an only child, my parents could support me even if I quit. But Jake had worked hard to get his government position. What would he do if he lost it? Chapter 8. I hired a private investigator to look into Jake and Serena's relationship. Within 3 days, I had plenty of evidence. Jake and Serena were definitely involved. I had multiple photos of them kissing. I immediately went to a print shop and ordered 3 huge banners. Plus several poster-sized prints of the photos, the kind you'd use for event displays. Everyone loves drama about cheaters. Also, I'd recorded audio when they came to my apartment. A man demanding his girlfriend buy his brother $1 million condo as a wedding gift? Most people would take my side. I took a banner and 2 posters straight to Jake's workplace. He'd passed the civil service exam and become a team leader in just a few years. Quite the achievement. I walked into his office. Everyone turned to look at me. Jake was laughing with a colleague. His face went white when he saw me. I'd lived by one principle: when someone pisses me off, I deal with it. If someone really wronged me, they wouldn't get away with it. I immediately set up the giant posters. The banner went front and center. I distributed photos while fake crying. I'd put in eye drops before entering. If you two are truly in love, I won't stand in your way. I already terminated the pregnancy. What more do you want? Just because I wouldn't buy his brother a downtown condo? Someone tell Mice this really my fault. I'd brought a portable microphone and wailed dramatically. The entire office heard everything. Everyone looked at Jake differently. Realizing this, he tried to grab me and cover my mouth, but I dodged. We ran around the office like kids playing tag. Jake never caught me. Instead, the police arrived. That's him. I'm reporting him for defamation. He's spreading lies about me. I pointed at Jake without hesitation. The officers approached Jake to take him for questioning. As they led him away, I remembered something. Under Jake's horrified gaze, I entered his supervisor's office. From the moment I decided to publicly humiliate him, Jake with his pride never stood a chance against me. After my tearful complaint, the supervisor who'd been watching the drama outside nodded grimly and dismissed me. I knew reporting him wouldn't have serious legal consequences. So I chose to make it public. My goal wasn't legal punishment, it was to cost him his job and social standing. After all, he tried to do the same to me. I was just returning the favor. Rachel Morrison, you vicious bitch. As police loaded him into the car, he turned back with venom. I took it as a compliment and smiled, nodding. Chapter 9. I never expected Jake to come back, especially not with Serena. Opening my door to find them both, I immediately tried to close it. Jake blocked it with his hand, staring at me intensely. Serena stood beside him with swollen, red eyes from crying. Before I could complain, Jake suddenly dropped to his knees. Watching his eyes redden and Serena's pained expression, I rolled my eyes dramatically. Rachel, I was wrong before. But you were carrying my baby. There's nothing between Serena and me. Let her apologize. We can start fresh, okay? I snorted with disdain. I'd heard through friends that Jake's office had fired him. With no income and 2 arrests on his record, finding new work would be nearly impossible. I didn't believe his reform act. He was just confident I still loved him, wanting to keep scamming me for money. Can you please stop making things hard for Jake? He can't sleep or eat. He's suffering. Serena had watched for a minute before pushing me. She started crying dramatically. Like soap opera leads. Serena knelt beside Jake, sobbing about how cruel I was. When Jake remained devoted to me, she could only embrace him helplessly. Honestly, watching their performance left me cold. Free entertainment though. After a few minutes, I got bored. While they watched. In shock, I slapped Jake hard. Trash belongs in the dump. You 2 pieces of garbage deserve each other. If you bother me again, I'll destroy you. I threw the abortion papers at Jake, smiling. I terminated it already. And Jake, you think Serena is our only problem? When I realized he never respected me, only saw himself as superior because he was Malou, we're done. Jake, you're not apologizing because you're sorry. You just can't afford to pay me back. He'd gotten out early by using the $100,000. I'd left with him for bail. You owe me every penny. After saying this, I started kicking. Jake took 2 kicks before standing up. They both backed away from my door. Honestly, I hoped this would be our last meeting. But I underestimated Jake's shamelessness. Later, Jake kept appearing in my life like a stalker. Serena always shadowed him. Fortunately, this stopped after I got married. I still remember our final encounter. Jake wore a shabby suit, aged by hardship, looking decades older. Rachel, my biggest regret is not treasuring you. You're my life's only love. I'll live for you forever. His heartfelt confession just looked like a desperate man's last attempt to manipulate a woman. I rolled my eyes as usual. Then turned and left without hesitation. Trash. The end.